What's up? Yeah. Getting into it. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, whatever damn time you're listening to this. So, I just wanted to take the 4 seconds. I'm going to take 4. Not 5, not 3, but 4. So I'm going to take 4 seconds. Make sure you guys hit the like, share, or subscribe button. So, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good. I do that all the time. I count down, and you'll see. So so last week we had a great episode, and it helped me change a little bit. So I want to talk about that before we get into the other segments. I have a really good hell yeah and hell no for you guys today. So I was thinking about the conversation I had with our special guest, Eddie Rivera. I have a beautiful painting to my left of Dr. Jordan B. Peterson, and it was made for me from Eddie, and it's the first time that I've ever owned a painting. So so to be able to say that I helped collaborate to create it as well, was a huge deal for me. But I wanted to talk about kind of where I thought, where you are in your life and where you think you'll go. So I never thought when I was younger, when I was like 19, 20, things were kind of rough. So I never really thought that I would be in a position, the ones that I'm in now. And I think it was just like certain fires that were lit under my ass. And I think that part of it is because some of us are forced to change. Like, some of us don't have the luxury of not changing. There's, and that's where I want to talk about achievements and things that have kind of been passed down generationally. So, like, for me, I think that I was forced to change. And I think there's a lot of listeners, there's a lot of people who are very stuck. Those of you, we've had, 17 episodes, but those of you who don't know, like I said, I come from a very poor family. My dad, like I said, I took a look at one of his pay stubs. I mean, for 4 children, he should not have been making, he wasn't even making middle class, money. He's making, I think it was like $40,000 a year. That was our entire household. And there's 4 of us, 4 children. And he also, he had good benefits, so he didn't want to leave. I remember he was really trying to like hold things together. It was kind of rough, so I want to talk about that a little bit today, before we get into and have a silly goose time. So the thing, when you're forced to change, when you have to change because there's no other option, I think that's a lot of people. So some people are forced to change, and they stay the same because it's too comfortable. So they still change, but they change for that. This is the life they've chose. They've chose this life that's going to just be, hey, I'm going to work here. Work is supposed to be miserable. What I do for love and passion comes out in family, which is good. I think that's one of the most valuable things that you can do, is raise a good son or daughter. But I do, however, think that it gets into, if you're miserable most of the time those people are going to see you miserable. So it's tough to change, because if you're always miserable, if you've kind of chosen that this is the way that you're supposed to be, you're never going to change, and you've made that decision. Now, for some of us, it's like when we go through struggles, we're forced to change. And for me, I was forced to change at such a young age. At like 14, 15, I was forced to change. And it was because of my choices. It was because of my family's choices. It was because of my situation. But after a while, I started to realize that the only person to blame and the only person that was really going to give a shit was myself. So for me, it was not easy. I hate when, like, when people just pull themselves out of any sort of struggle, they say that, oh yeah, it was easy. It was hell. It was awful. But I will always remember it, and it'll always drive me, which gives me an edge on some people where they would give up really quickly. I'm not going to. So I think that that's the big one, is that a lot of people will they'll give up very quickly, and then of course you have me, who I won't. So being around people and talking with people and interviewing people and having conversations with people who wouldn't give up very quickly, I have found extremely stimulating and extremely helpful for me. I mean, when you can talk with somebody and it's shared suffering and shared struggle, there is no better common denominator than that. There is nothing better. And when you look at somebody in the eyes, you can tell. And I said this to my buddy yesterday or 2 days ago, who I saw, who's going through a really, really hard time, really rough. He's had kind of a rough life, and he caved. He crumbled under the pressure. But I look at him, and he has something that only some people have that I've seen. And I know how cinematic, or how like in the movies this sounds, but some people have things behind the eyes that you could see. Like you could look at him, and I looked at him, and it was still like looking at a lion, man. This kid is just so fierce. I mean, he's just so fierce looking, but to see his eyes like, hey, life got the best of me again, but I'm going to get back after it. So to be able to look at somebody and see that still in a conversation, in just a conversation we had, is huge. And, I think after a while it'd be nice to get him on the podcast as well, just because really looking forward to what he does. But to have that piece built into you that you had to change, and that you're built for struggle, you're built for adversity, you're built for all the chips, everything is stacked against you, everything is against you. That's why, when it's the hottest day out, I'm out there working out outside. When it was the coldest days out there, I used to run in the morning when it was the coldest days out, just because I wanted to hear my buddies say that I was crazy, or just, or just because screw you, like just because not you, but screw the cold. Like, hey, I don't give a shit how cold it is. I can go out and I could take it. Like I needed that, because it's like that kept me sharp, that kept me going. So anything that people usually kind of shift away from, I steer into. And to be around people who are like that, they steer into struggle, because they know that's where you become the most creative. They know that's where you can come out with more money. That's where they know they can come out with a better attitude. That's when they can really find themselves. So I told you, I'm telling you this to kind of tell you this story. Like I was thinking about it. I think that there's people right now who have it pretty easy. And I thought about that for a second, and I've been told by two people in the past 2 weeks, 3 weeks, this really interesting woman, Jess, told me, and then had a conversation with my friend Dan. Having that you haven't been through a lot, and having that you have been kind of pushed, and you've had this good team, and you've had a great family, and you've had a great life, and you go on vacation 3-4 days, or 3-4 weeks out of the year, and you do stuff like that. I used to look down on those people. I used to kind of like it's me, it's us versus them type of mentality. But they're given their own types of struggles because now, and I wouldn't wish this on anybody, those types of people have not no resiliency, but their resiliency is different. Their ability to take struggle is different. They have their own sets of skills and they have their own sets of drawbacks. So I used to look at them like, oh, they are the worst. They've been given everything. They're spoon fed, blah, blah. I used to just say stuff like that because I had somebody come up to me. This is how this is like a couple weeks ago. And she started to talk to me, and immediately when I started talking about, just kind of the gym was going through, what my company was going through during the pandemic, what I was going through at the time. There's a lot of things that were going wrong. What happened, that I had, that I had worried myself into a, gastrointestinal, devastation. Just I couldn't eat anything. I couldn't sleep. I was so stressed out. So I started, talking to her about like all that, and to watch this person clam up and want to change the subject so much because, and I know them pretty well, because they wouldn't be able to relate or help me. And I knew that's what it was. It wasn't like, oh, I don't want to talk about struggle, but I really don't want to talk about these struggles because I can't relate to you. And I think that I got like pissed, and then I came back and then had those conversations. I would never wish that type of struggle on anybody, just not being able to handle it. But where they're strong, I'm weak, they're strong. I used to be terrified, seriously terrified, every time I'd go to the doctor's office, a lawyer's office, or I go somewhere and they'd give me a form. They'd give me a form where I'd have to write all this stuff down, all this. For some reason, it just gave me, because I never had anybody, there to teach me, like, hey, this is what this is. This is what this is. Like, I never knew. So I used to steer away. I'd be scared. I know that sounds stupid. It sounds terrible because I was dumb. I was just I had a GED and I didn't know what any of those things meant. And I used to sweat. Oh my God. What do they mean by, gross income or net income? What do they, I just didn't know, and I should have known. Or I used to, when I go to somebody's house and they had a really nice house, they would see me and I'd be like staring, like I'd be like, wow, what's that? Like, what's that? I didn't even know what a kitchen island was. The island like in the middle of the kitchen. I was like, why do they have that? I remember I went to this girl's house and she had 2 sinks, and I was like in the kitchen and I was blown away. I was like 16, 17. I was blown away. I couldn't believe. I'm like, wow. I was like, that's amazing. It's like, I wonder what they need 2 sinks for. Like, and do they like wash their hands in one and then dishes in one? Like I had like, that's how stupid, I was, and being in certain situations would just terrify me. It was just awful, like sweating, so it took me a long time to get out of like that. Certain people, like, that's normal to them. They just do those types of things. So where some people are strong, some people are weak, and it really gave me a better respect for people. So I have to say this, like, I've trained a lot of really well-off, young athletes and teens too in my personal training company. And I've seen the kids that crumble because their parents are pushing them way too hard, and those kids are not used to that type of adversity. So maybe that's why their parents are pushing them and they think it might be doing them some good, but I've seen it go the opposite. And then I've seen the young athlete, the teen, that has really taken his parents' achievements and his parents' drive and work ethic and run with it. I have seen some amazing young teenagers who are now adults. I can't believe them, they're all adults, and some of them have, great businesses and are going to, graduating from college. I can't, it's so weird to say that because, I'm starting to feel old now. But I've been around for a while. So to see all of these young men and women do such great things, it's amazing to me. So it's like, regardless of what's happened, I think that success needs to start to be seen as success, because I've seen somebody who has started from nothing be extremely successful, and almost like with a vengeance successful. If that's what motivates you, that's what does. And then I've seen young people with, college educated, all their student loans, or most of them are paid for, or they had scholarships, or that still takes achievements. That still takes, so I used to hate on that. And now I'm going, they have a different competitive edge. You have a different competitive edge. If you started from nothing and you started from something, each one has their own competitive edge. The one that struggles, the one that, the one that struggled, started from nothing, that wolf's always hungry. You know what I mean? It's always going to keep pushing through. It's never going to stop. It's going to be, almost impossible to stop them. But that wolf that's been fed, that healthy one, has its own longevity too. That it has its own path, its own direction. So I have found this newfound respect for people who maybe aren't exactly like me. It's like, why am I why am I hating? You know what I mean? If it's success is success. I mean, yeah. I mean, when you hear them like, they've been given stuff, I mean, that might piss you off, but listen, if you are the hungry type, if you're the one that started from nothing, I'll tell you this is really important. And what I've learned in the past 15, 16 years, if you are the hungry type that starts from nothing, the people that I'm usually talking to, the people that I'm usually interacting with, if you are that type, okay, and I have to say this, you got to know how serious I am about it. It's fuck balance. Fuck balance. You heard me say it. Fuck balance. Yeah, I said fuck 4 times. So it's 4 times now. You don't have the luxury of balance. You need to get it. You need to go after it. You need to do it, because guess what? Nobody else is going to feed you. Nobody. So you need to make sure you go after everything 24 hours a day. You have to do it. You have to get up early. You have to go to bed late. You have to do those things. And I know how tough that sounds for some of you, but you need it. I remember walking, and one of my buddy's dads drove by me, and I saw him. He even looked, and it almost looked like he was going to stop, okay? And he didn't pick me up. He didn't stop and ask me if I needed a ride, okay? So then later on, this is years later, I remember I asked him why, and it bothered me. It was one of those things that keep you up at night. And I asked him, and he goes, you needed to know, he goes, that you never should be calling and asking for a ride. You needed to walk. And I was like, what? Like, what the? Like, I wasn't old enough to understand what he meant. But now I get it. He's like, you needed that struggle. You needed to be able to be pushed and know that you are the only one that's going to do it. You made your bed. You got to go with it. You got to sleep in it. And I figured, or you could have given me a ride, and then I could have looked at you as some sort of mentor or something. But no, I get what he did. He did the opposite. So it actually motivated me more when he told me years later. So it helped and motivated me more when he didn't pick me up. So some of us, it's like, you got to struggle. You got to go through it. The other people, balance is key, because you don't have those mechanisms to help you with stress like the person with the struggle. So you need balance. You need the vacation. You need to be able to cool your jets a little bit. You need to be able to talk to somebody and do that. It's like, I've noticed that Like the people who haven't been through a lot of struggle, they're the ones that break down so easily. And it's like, you need the balance. You need to make sure you have balance. And it's because you've never been pitched that much of shit, So if you're the struggling type, if you're the person that comes from nothing, fuck balance. And if you're the person that comes from something, you need the balance. You need to make sure you have those things in place to go further. You guys will go almost the same amount. It's just a different type of path for everybody. So it was just something that I really noticed, and I had to say, because I have just, after having this conversation with this very motivational person, Jess, I gotta say, I gotta give her props for kind of opening my eyes to that, and I think that's what she was trying to do as well. So I'm very interested in getting her on the podcast as well, because she's been doing some great things with some very, very famous, motivational and inspiring people. So yeah, I think I might just do that. But all right. So sorry I went on that. Not sorry I went on that tangent. I had to say it because it was on me for like weeks to talk about it. So all right. So listen, we're gonna get into hell yeah versus hell no. I have 3 really, really good ones that were making me laugh. You guys' comments are insane. So yeah, let's get into it. Hell yeah versus hell no. We have hell yeah versus hell no. We got these 3 for you. The vote is actually the votes are actually coming in quite quickly. And do you know what I like the most about doing this segment is watching how many people vote. Like, what's killing me is, like, I see a lot of people who do these, like, polls and votes and stuff. They got, like, 10,000 followers, and there's only, like, they have, like, 1,000 people liking it. And then only, like, 10 people vote. With me, I'm getting, like, 200 people voting, 250 people voting. It's amazing, So I must be doing something right here. So we're going to go through this hell yeah versus hell no. And I'm going to be as honest as possible. So the first one, nipple piercings. Nipple piercings. Yeah. So with nipple piercings, nipple piercings or also known as nipple dumbbells, and I had somebody ask, why are you calling them nipple dumbbells? And I said, because you curl them up into your mouth. And yeah, I thought that was a good response, and I did a hell of a job. So nipple piercings, my experience, mainly with, the piercings of the nips. I was very young, when I had to experience nipple piercings and being shocked and not understanding even why. I mean, I knew people did it, but I remember there was this young lady at the time. I was also a young man. Let me be clear, and it was like you could see it through her shirt, but I thought, like, I didn't know that that's what she was doing. Like, I had no idea that is what it was under her shirt. I just thought, like, I got nervous because my friend's like, yeah, look at that. And I was like, yeah, look at that. And but I need to be honest, I didn't know what I was looking at. Like, I was like, yeah. Yeah. I thought she was like, had deformed, nipples or something. Cause I saw 3 marks, with the, I saw like a boop, 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 and I was like, oh man, that's sad. Maybe she has like a deformity or something, I was like, maybe. And then I found out maybe, a couple weeks later that it's not the case. And that was shocking to me. I've never seen anything like that. So now that I know, and then I had a buddy, my buddy Nick Adams, and I'll say his name. He's a very successful piercer and stuff. He was always into like piercings and tattoos. Now he's doing absolute phenomenal stuff. I believe his Instagram name is Nicholas the Geezer. or the geezer. Yeah, he is. I would love to get him. That's a good. I keep getting good podcast people to interview. One of my favorite people of all time. We couldn't be further. We're so different, but I just enjoy his smile and just his energy is amazing. But he had piercings like all over at such a young age, and he was like, had tattoos and stuff like that. I thought that was pretty cool. So, for me, I'm gonna honestly say like, what's not to hell yeah? Like I think people think about the pain. The pain sucks. Yeah, I mean, like having somebody, take a couple of tongs and squeeze your man tits or your girl boobies, and then shove a needle through it. Yeah, that sucks. But I think that's what people were hell knowing. But I mean, having them, I imagine afterwards is like, yeah. I don't know. I don't think I would have them. I think I like them more on girls than guys. I mean, I'm just from my own perspective. But nipple dumbbells, it's like, hey, whatever. Do your thing. I'm gonna hell yeah. I don't understand how. I don't get the other side of it. I mean, it gets caught and stuff though. You know what I mean? You're walking by somebody, you get it caught on, somebody's shirt, rips out. Then you really got a deformed nipple. People are still voting right now, but come on. See, I hell yeah'd it. 66% said hell no, and 34% said hell yeah. So the nipple dumbbells, nah. Now, I wanted to talk about the next one, number 2, which is polyamory or being polyamorous. So now polyamory is something I'm extremely familiar with. I have people who are very close to me and who are in polyamorous relationships. And I also have been able to talk with a lot of people about being open in, being in relationships where you have more than one partner. That's what that means, that you can have, a girlfriend and another girlfriend or a wife and another wife or, whatever, multiple partners, or she can have a husband and another husband and then a girlfriend. Now, here's the thing. Here's what we think of. And when I think of, I used to be like, oh, it's a free-for-all. You're just, having sex with everybody. You're just throwing that peen and vagine everywhere. You're like, yo, you want, you get a partner, you get a partner, you get a partner, you get a partner. Like, that's what I think everybody thought it was. Like, it's like a free-for-all. Like, I think when they think it's just like an orgy at a house, you know what I mean? Like, oh, your wife has multiple partners. Interesting. And they think like when you walk into their home, it's just going to be people having sex everywhere. They're like, is this okay to sit? Is this okay to sit? I also think the funny thing is with that, I think it's a lot of, in if I may, I think it's a lot of really, I don't want to say weak men, but men who would not be able to get certain women that get into polyamory. At least that's, what I've seen. I don't know a lot of like really strong, desirable, men that are like, yeah, I'm okay with my wife being with another guy. I'm just assuming. I just haven't seen it. Every single documentary. Remember those HBO documentaries and Showtime documentaries they do on like alternate lifestyles and TLC? It's always like a dude that's balding right here. He's got a long ponytail, and he's wearing they don't wear shirts around their house and stuff. And they're both partners are with a smoking hot girl. Like the girl is always way hotter. At least in these shows that they're showing, and he's like, and it's like his name's Ken, and he's like, I'm fine with it, I'm completely fine with it. I'm one with the universe and her, what she wants, and he's like twitching because he's lying. No, So what I would think is most guys like get around a really pretty girl, a really pretty woman, and she's like, I'm in to polyamory, and he's like, oh great, that's Awesome. He has no idea what the hell it is. Then he gets back and she's like, all right, well, I'll see you later. I'm going to go out on a date with Steven. He's like, what the hell are you talking about? Date with Steven? Who the hell's Steven? She's like, I'm polyamorous. He's like, I thought you said Parmesan cheese. I said you said Parmesan. I love Parmesan. You know what I mean? He's like, I don't know what any of that means. I'm out. I thought it was a different, I thought it was a shape like a polygon or a rhomboid or, a right angle. He doesn't know what any of that shit is. So make sure you explain it to him. So he's not surprised. And he comes up to your table. He's like, what the hell? Who the hell is this? You're like, it's Steven. I told you I was polyamorous. And you're like, no, what the hell are you talking about? I thought that means like a different shape or a car you drove. What the hell are you talking about? I thought you knew how to read minds. So listen, if you are going to be polyamorous, in every single person that I have talked to, and I have talked to quite a bit about this, it requires more communication. It requires more emotional IQ. It requires a lot of time, energy, and getting to know yourself a little bit better. So just keep that in mind. I am hoping to have a sex therapist on, and I'm saying it now. I'll say it out loud. I am going to ask her if she would like to be on the show. I'm sure we'll have some serious and silly goose time talks, but I definitely want to really dive into some different, different preferences and things like that. I have so many questions, but I think for most people, it's like they want to just be with one partner. Most people do, and I think that it has to do with maybe some of the stuff that we've been constructed with society-wise, but I also think it has a lot to do with building a good, healthy family, raising, good, we're not really sure how a lot of these different lifestyles affect children. We just don't know. And I think it's cool. Like me personally, I'm going to hell yeah polyamory, because it's like, if you want to be with more than one person, good for you. If you want to be with, 8 people, good for you. I do not care. And I think when I was younger, really wanted to kind of investigate it further, because I really thought it would be something that I would actually be doing. And then I kind of found out through just by power of deduction on who I was as a person, that I would be in a more monogamous relationship, that I would be like with a one person or one woman type of guy. And because I was just so, not that for an extremely long time. And I mean, you still think about it. I still think about it, but it's like, it just seems for me, I don't have like the time, I barely have time for myself, so I don't know if I could spread myself so thin amongst people. But I think it's like, if you want to do it, good for you. Let's take a look. People are still voting, so this will be interesting. People are still voting. So we're going to go 88% said hell no, and 12% said hell yeah. And we obviously are going to see that type of thing, because I think that it's not the societal norm. I think that, those people, I think that those people want to be kind of heard in their different alternate lifestyle, changes in who they are. That's great. I just don't think that it's for everybody. You can't really talk anybody into that. I mean, they need to know that it could be an option, and I think everybody knows that it's an option. I just think that, or a lot of people know it's an option. I just never think it's going to be like this thing that's like crazy mainstream. And I mean like that in the masses of people. And I think if you're younger, it's more appealing. If you're younger, it's more appealing. And if you're older, you tend to start to go, hey, I'm going to, I'll say it. Hey, I'm going to die soon. I'm going to die in a little bit. I need to make sure I at least have one person around me, so you're like, all right, you're it. So it's like, you want to make sure you're well kept, well taken care of. So yeah, but I'm going to hell yeah. It got hell nod, but still, I'm all for it. So you want a partner, you want a partner, you want a partner, you want a partner, you want 2 partners, you get 2 partners. You want 3, you get 3. Good for you. Polyamory. It's a hell yeah for me, but a hell no for everybody else. So the next one, and this one's a little bit deeper, so I was actually excited to get that. And these submissions, these submissions are fantastic. Do you think the things that you strive to make you more, do you think the things you strive for make you more valuable to society? And this guy, Joe, he put that in there. Phenomenal knife maker, by the way. Go check him out. I believe it's Vendetta Knives on Instagram. So good. Joe Carey. Really nice guy. Amazing knife maker. So here's the thing. I think that when we talk about what makes us, what we contribute to society and what we contribute to ourselves are two different things, in a micro and macro way. So I think what you need to contribute, if you contribute to society in what you do and who you are, it's by not being such a chaotic person. I think that if you're more organized, more apt to help somebody because you are in a position to help somebody because you don't need to, you have your life in order, you're able to pass that down to society. But I think right now you have a lot of young people who are very chaotic, very aimless. So they're not contributing the best things to society because they don't even know who they are yet. Much like anybody when they're young don't know who they are. Like when I was younger, I never thought that I would be doing any of the things that I've been doing. The person who you are when you're 19 is not the person you are when you're 25. And if it is, that means you were never challenged. You never had anything challenging or that challenged your thought process. So a lot of people, they carry around the beliefs of their parents. They carry around, their religions. They never question any of those things. Now, here's something also very valuable. You can go full circle, experience all of these other things, question all of these things, and come back around to a general basis of who you are. And it was very close to what your parents wanted you to be or presented you with. But I think that right now, so many young people think they're helping society, questioning the things that we know that work and keep people organized, and they haven't looked in other countries or anything like that and seen the controlled, dreary chaos of any sort of different political communism and kind of like a dictatorship. Like I think that they think that would be better than our current system that we have, and I don't think that's at all true. I think we have perfect examples of why that's not the case. But we have a lot of young people wandering around aimlessly with these very odd, unchallenged, sporadic thoughts of how they think the world should go. If I told you how the world should have went when I was 17 or 18, I was more nihilistic, very depressed, and I was just very, very anxious all the time. But I would be considered almost an anarchist. I just wanted to see everything burn, so I'm glad that I got out of that type of thinking, because that type of thinking is, hey, burn everything down. But guess what? Who's standing there at the end when everything's burnt is you. And the only thing left to burn is yourself. So the thing is like later on, it's like, what can you contribute to society, to people, to personal and individuals? A helping hand, man. I know that sounds corny, but you have to take on more responsibility. When you see people, help them off the floor. When you see somebody broken down, you want to help them out. When you see somebody drop something, pick it up for them. Just those little things make a world of difference. And I think that right now we're not getting enough of that, or at least right now, the news media would make you seem like that we're not getting enough of that. But I think that it's a lot of young people. So I don't think that a lot of them are contributing the best in their best selves because they're just so young. You know what I mean? It's like when you're young, you have crazy ideas of how you think the world works or how you think the world should work. And I think that you're usually so far off, because I remember my thoughts, because I wrote almost everything down, because I remember going to therapy and them telling me, hey, write things down. You should see some of the stuff that I have written down when I was that age. And I don't believe any of it now. Like, I'm just so different, and it's because you have you put yourself in order, and that's just my opinion. But I think this is a great question. Like, do you think what you're doing is valuable to society, what you're putting forward? I think there's a lot of people who put amazing things forward for society. And I think there's a lot of you that should be very proud of yourselves, and also that aren't saying it. And I love that. I think you want to be proud, but you can be proud internally and let people compliment you without kind of seeking for that, like seeking that approval. I love that. Those people who film like, oh, I fed this bum a donut and I gave him $6. It's like, dude, get the camera out of his face. Just do it because you need to do it. Don't do it for the clout. The clout is bullshit. That's another thing. If people are doing things for clout, they're doing things, for that social pat on the back, that social justice pat on the back. It's like, ugh, you have just missed the mark of what the whole point was. You're doing it for yourself and for them. Stop filming yourself doing great things or in your opinion, great things, because then you miss the point. You're if you post it on Facebook, yeah, it's not a good thing. It's like, if I did something, you would never know it. And I like it that way. You know what I mean? Let it be between myself and the person, or the person and somebody else. So I like the people who are contributing to society, the people who are helping the best they can, and the people who are also just doing it because they know that it's the right thing to do. It's a good thing to do. So some of you're like, I had a friend that she's a nurse, and I don't think she knows how valuable she is. And she's going through kind of a rough time. And she doesn't talk about a lot what happens, to her in those situations. And I said, you need to talk to, people about the things that you've seen and the things that have hurt you in that situation, because it's so valuable what you're doing. You have no idea. I mean, like, I just don't think she knows. I know a lot of us know, but it's so valuable to make sure that you stay on the up and up, and you talk about the things that you're experiencing with people who aren't going to judge you, and people who know how valuable it is what you're doing. So I think that there's people doing amazing work out there, seriously amazing work, and you should be taking great pride in that. However small it is. So the thing is you don't have to be these huge game changers. Everybody's looking at these celebrities and politicians and all that. That's the biggest trap that you can fall into, is start idolizing people who are doing it in front of the camera. The thing is you need to do it because you need to do it for you, and don't compare yourself to, oh yeah, I didn't give $1 million away to this charity publicly. But here's the thing. You help somebody bag their groceries. You help somebody back out of a parking space. You help an old lady do her car. You did all of those things are extremely valuable. So never, ever start putting yourself down for how small or how large some of those things are. So seriously, I'm gonna obviously, I would say I could do a lot more, for society. So I would say, like, I would say, hell yeah, of course, I think what I'm doing is meaningful and purposeful, because I'm not being expedient. It's one of the rules that I've learned, is do what is meaningful, not what is expedient. So, and I've lived, I don't make nearly as much as I was making as, when I first started out. I had this job where I was making killer money, and I left to make a fourth of it and start my company. And then now here I am making probably about the same as I was making before. And I love what I do. I have such freedom, and I love it, so it's like I get to do, because I was slow and steady and I did what I enjoyed rather than doing what was just quick and would make me a buck. I knew that wasn't the way to get to me in here and in here, so I'm obviously going to say hell yeah. And I think a lot of you should have said hell yeah. And you did. So 86% said hell yeah. They are contributing, things to strive and make you more valuable to society, and 14% said nah. So yeah, it's okay. Some of you, don't worry. Don't worry. You'll get there. All right, listen. I loved those hell yeah versus hell no's. I mean, I have to be honest with you. I was super stoked when I got those in. We have I have 23 of them on the backlog, so I'm going to kind of add those in these next couple of episodes. Stay tuned. We'll announce who our next guest that we're going to have. And seriously, thank you all for liking, sharing, subscribing. Thank you all for the deep conversations, your comments. I really appreciate it. And, I'm just a big-nosed dude just trying to just do some interviews and just enjoy life. So seriously, thank you all so much. And I'm out of here. Later.